So, welcome to the Summer Proof Your Business. It's time to get ready for summer. It seems like, as we're watching it, and I'm doing this at this moment in time, that summer seems an age off, but actually it's going to be here in a blink of an eye. And now is the time to be taking action, and that brand hosting you this evening. One thing I will say at the beginning of all of this is that the sooner you can get started, the better prepared you're going to be, and the more able you're going to be to enjoy the summer, or you could substitute summer for any of the holidays, to be fair, while it's here, rather than leaving it to the last minute and wishing you started early. We all do that, don't we? Do that thing where you say, I'll do that, you know, as and when, and then suddenly it's here and you're kicking yourself that you didn't start earlier. So to start with, what have we got coming up? Got a few things I'm going to be talking to you about today. What do you want? Focusing on what you really want. Automation and some really simple things that you can do. Outsourcing, the sometimes elusive passive income that lots of people talk about. Managing expectations, which would be yours, your clients, and your families. Dealing with the dreaded guilt and planning your time effectively along the way, and obviously a few other bits and pieces too. So I'm going to start with a very aka the Queen of Brand, or actually more commonly known more recently for my planners and notebooks. So I've been self-employed since I was 20. I moved home with my mum, to my mum's, with my 9-month-old baby girl at that point, after a little bit of a rocky time, and I started becoming self-employed. I started doing greeting cards and wedding stationery, all handmade stuff and all of that sort of thing, and then I started doing my design and print business, and it all went from there. So I've done a few things along the way. I've had a few bright shiny objects, but at the core of everything has always been the design and print work with branding. I live and breathe it, and I can't help myself. It's just what I love. I find it fascinating and interesting, and I love everything about it. So I've got a few holistic qualifications, so I thought I'd throw that out there in this one, because we're going to be covering a little bit of kind of a holistic feel of how to cope with the summer as well as the business side. Not many people know this, but I've got a few qualifications. So I'm an NLP practitioner, neuro-linguistic programming. I'm EFT and also Reiki and shamanic healing, plus a few other bits and pieces as well. So I do have a few other strings to my bow, which I like to tap into now and then when it's talking about work-life balance stuff. So my aims for my business and my life in general really is to educate and motivate and support people like you and people like me on their business journey, to inspire people to take action. I'm a big action taking fan. I like to try and help people take action and really go for their dreams. I like to be positive and proactive, and I like to spread a bit of positivity out there, and I do my very best to try and lead by example. Sometimes it's easier said than done, but it is always a work in progress. So who is this webinar aimed at during the summer or any of the other holidays, without the stress and the guilt that usually comes along with that? Mel's having trouble with it cutting out. Is everybody else hearing me okay? Hopefully you're going to hear me okay. I'm going to carry on just in case, because I am recording it, so I will be sending it out to you as well. So these are the sorts of people that I've been writing that for. Hopefully that is you, but I'm going to be covering lots of stuff as well around that. So if we're not working, we're not earning any money. We've got the fact that clients are potentially on holiday, or we're on holiday, so we can't get hold of them. You've got time management, the fact that we're not actually managing our time as effectively could be, and also guilt about absolutely everything. We tend to feel guilty about everything that we possibly can do. Oh, a few people having this. Well, I'm recording it, folks, So I'm going to do a little, so I'm going to record it and I'm going to send you out the recording after, so hopefully it'll record fine, and it will stop cutting out in a second. Good old Wi-Fi. It's raining, so that's probably not helping at all, is it? So these are the sorts of challenges. We're all facing these sorts of challenges, other ones as well. Some of us will have children kicking about, and we'll have to be dealing with those. Other people don't have the children kicking about. But the key is how we deal with all of these things. So one of the first things that we need to be thinking back to basics. It's words like freedom and more money and time, which is great and it's lovely, but they don't actually mean anything as that. So freedom, what on earth is freedom? What does that mean for you? What is freedom? How can you measure that? How can you figure out what that is? More money, how much is more money? When you have that money, what difference is it going to make? What does that money mean? You know, what is that money going to enable you to do? Time, how much time? What are you going to do with that time? There's all of these, they're kind of these big pie in the sky stuff that we can get really happily distracted by, and then realize that we're not even looking at the actual chunking down to the nitty-gritty of what really matters and what we really want. So what do you want? What do you want your summer to look like? How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel when you are having that time off, or when you're in the office? You know, what do you want that to actually be? And that's what we need to do. We need to figure out that first. So what do we want? And once we know what we want in terms of these achievements, I'm going to go into more detail. But in essence, we need to look at what we want, kind of nitty-gritty style. So, but these are two of the kind of core ones that we start with. So time off is, let me refocus. I'm skipping about here and I'm trying to stay on track because I'm getting distracted because I'm good like that. So the idea is that you choose one really as a main focus. They both look like, these things are both look like they might be the same thing, but they do work quite differently. And in order to figure out everything that we need to do and everything that we need to set up, we need to start with the end in mind. We need to figure out what the end goal is, and then we can create the plan to get there. So a good place to start with this, talk about funnels all the time. You may be seeing posts pop up on Facebook where people are talking about funnels, and you're thinking it's some elusive club that you have to be part of. There's some kind of magic formula that is needed to be put in to create what a funnel is. But this, in a very small nutshell, is an example of a funnel. It's basically taking looking at your client path. It's taking the map of where your client needs to go from step one to step whatever it is that you need them to be on. You've also got the client pyramid. So essentially, if you flip this round, or whichever way it looks like, this is exactly the same thing. The big bit, so this bit here, is the kind of the big picture stuff. The low end, the freebies, the leads, essentially. So this is the stuff, the first touch point where people come into contact with your business. And I've done this on the 80-20 rule, the Pareto rule. So essentially, if you had 100 leads, it could be any figure that's suitable for you, 1,000 leads, 1,000,000 leads, 10 leads, then the likelihood is they've downloaded your freebie, they're engaging in your content, your blogs, etc. They then come down, and 20 of those 100 are then going to become prospects, and they are maybe going to make a low-level purchase with your business. They're going to be taking that next step, and then from those 20 you might then get 4 who then go take the next step and become high level. Oh, high level purchases. They make a high level purchase, and so that would be kind of, so you come from 100 down to 4, but these are then becoming actual proper customers for you. And then down here to the VIP, so essentially that's the top of the pyramid, if you will, the bottom of the funnel where the good stuff is coming out. So out of those 100 leads, you might get one person that then goes right to the end and makes the top level purchase with you. So you need to figure out what your funnel is, because if you don't know what that is, then it's going to be harder to set all the other stuff up. So coming back to passive income and time, if you want to be creating passive income, you need to be thinking, right, what product is going to lead to what? So if I'm going to create a passive income product, what's the steps that my customers are going to take to be able to buy that? If I'm going to be creating more time for myself, then how can I make these steps either take care of themselves through automation, or how can I outsource? So that's why we're looking at the funnel at this point, because you need to be knowing what the process is for your clients, because if you don't know, they're not going to know, and everything becomes much more complicated, and you're trying to create all this stuff and automate things and do all this stuff, but if you don't know why you're doing it and what the next step is, then you could be doing a whole load of stuff that you don't need to do. So that's why we start off with this. Nice, and I would like some time off, but then what do we do with that time, and how much time is it? How much do you need? If you've got children, is it that you're taking time off every day? Is it a few weeks? Is it a whole month? I know some people who are self-employed and they take the whole of August off and they book it in, and that's the way they plan their business. So essentially it becomes a seasonal business based around the fact that they're going to have that time off. If you are just planning specific times off, but it's the same if you haven't got children. Maybe it is you just want to go and enjoy the sunshine, so you want to be able to finish work at midday, or you want to have only work Monday to Thursday, or just 2 or 3 days a week, or maybe you want to have a whole of August off anyway because you want to just be enjoying the weather, or seeing friends, or seeing family, or whatever. So whoever you are and whatever your situation, you may still just want to create time off from your business during the summer. So there's two different choices really with this. You've got setting up systems and work so that you can earn enough, so you literally just close the doors and you walk away, and that is you gone for that period of time, that sort of time off. Or there's a sort of time off where you set up systems, you create teams and outsourcing, which we're going to cover in a bit, so you can run the business without being in the business. So you can take the time off and it will all keep ticking along without you, whether that be for a day or a week or a month, it doesn't matter, but you can create the systems that work for that. So that's another reason why it's really important to figure out what it is that you want from that perspective, because again, you could be saying that you want time and you want time off, and you might be thinking, oh, I've got to set all this stuff up and outsource and all la la la. But in actual fact, you actually want to walk away from that office and lock the door and then not look back for a month. Then you need to be doing it quite differently to somebody who is going to be keeping that business running and maybe just checking in once a day for 5 minutes on email. So that's why these are really important. Opinion on passive income is that it is not very passive. It can feel passive, I tell you. It feels great when you set something up and someone buys it and you think, woohoo, I have just made X amount of money and I have done nothing to get it. Essentially, it's just made itself. But then when you consider the amount of effort that's gone into creating it, the amount of money or effort or time or energy or whatever that's gone into sharing it and promoting it, it's actually not very passive at all. It obviously changes over time. So if you've got a massive audience and you create one thing and it takes you an hour and you share it and you sell thousands, then obviously that is quite a nice passive income. But for the majority of people who are not yet at that stage, then it's not as quick and as easy a thing as that. It's not I'm going to do a quick PDF ebook and I'm going to sell it for 30 quid and I'm going to get thousands of people to buy it, so therefore I can then go and enjoy a beach in Barbados. In actual fact, the reality is that people do this, they set up their PDF, they get terribly excited about it, they launch it, but they've got no audience, so therefore when it goes out live, they might sell 1, 10, 20 copies, and then that it all kind of dries up because their immediate group of people have have kind of bought it, and then they need to be reaching new people. So then you've got to put all that effort into the marketing, and again it comes back to how you want to run your business. A lot of people who are in business have to get good at marketing, because without being good at marketing you don't sell as much stuff. But is marketing, you know, do you want to have a marketing business, or do you want to have a business doing what you love? So there is a bit of a line there that you need to find as to what you actually want to create, because definitely you just need to be aware that passive income, you can definitely make it easier for yourself, and we're going to talk about automation and things that you can do to create that, but it's not 100% passive unless you have an audience and a way of doing that. But again, we're going to cover that a little bit as well. So just to kind of recap, with the holidays, do you want to be mainly getting the time off thing, and what sort of time off do you want? And the passive income, is that really your main focus? If it is, you need to be setting it up so that you can really be driving traffic and stuff towards that, so you can make it as passive as possible without getting caught up in all the marketing bits, and it becoming a full-time business trying to run a passive income business, which is what no-brainer. That's what most people know. You could get a product which is fulfilled by another company, so Amazon. So for example, my diary planners, I sell those on Amazon, and my Minerva notebooks are all on Amazon at the moment, and they are fulfilled by Amazon. So I pay Amazon a fee, and I pay storage fees, and I pay a fee per item that's shipped, and I pay the postage. So there's a lot of paying, but it is managed. So if the sale, so basically I log into my seller profile, and I can see how many orders have been taken and how many have been shipped, and there's nothing for me to do. But so obviously to a certain extent that's passive, which is lovely. It is really nice to know that it's managed, but there is a cost to that. So you may pay anything up to 30 or 40% for the pleasure of having that as a passive product. And obviously you still have to promote it. It still has to be about. So I've been doing a lot of digging with Amazon. I've been looking a lot as to Amazon and how you can kind of manipulate it, not manipulate it, but how you can use it for your own products a little bit better. And I've definitely found that you can sell your own products on Amazon, but if you're using fulfillment, you get a bigger reach, you sell more products. Just because it's on Amazon doesn't mean it's going to sell, so that's another thing to consider. So there's a lot of elements to this, but it is something that you could definitely look at, and I would definitely recommend having a look at it. And this also covers books. So if you're writing a book, or you're doing a product which could work as a Kindle product or print on demand, then that's a fantastic tool as well, because if you can create the PDFs and things yourself, then you can publish it on CreateSpace with Amazon completely for free, which means you've got a product which you can sell and will be sold all around the world, and there's no cost to create it, because what happens is you get essentially a commission from everyone that they sell, and they just print it when it's ordered. So these are different ways that you can create some passive products. Affiliates and referrals. It's quite a common thing now, affiliates. Referrals, less so. I don't see many people talking about referrals, but you can create referrals, which essentially is similar to an affiliate link, with all sorts of companies. So if you've got a company that could work quite well with you, you could either be a referrer for them, or you could have referrers working for you. So you could have, say you had a product that you were selling, you could have a number of people that when they referred to you, they might get a kickback. So it could be if you've got a photography company and you have a referral partner who is a website company, then you could, when obviously you put people their way and they get a website done, then you would get £100 or £200 or whatever as a kickback fee, as a nice little thank you commission. So those are different ways that you can do that, which is quite nice. That's why a lot of affiliate marketing works quite nicely if you can create the audience for that. And there are different advertising revenues and ways, streams and things that you can go with that. Outsourcing the work is another one. So is there a product that you do or a service that you offer that you could get somebody else to do for you, so that you are still earning money but someone else is managing it for you? It may start with the fact that someone else is doing it and you're still the middleman, middlewoman, but it could then become something where you actually have built that trust relationship up with that outsourcer, and then you can set them up with your own email address, and so they become essentially a member of staff, a white labeled member of staff, if you will, so that if something comes in when you're away, you just forward it. For this, I've got a lady called Susanna who works for me. She does quite a few hours a week for me, about anywhere between 20 and 40 hours a week for me doing artwork. And when I go on holiday or I go away for the day, I will set up an autoresponder, and I'm going to cover autoresponders in a bit, don't worry, which will say I'm away, but if you need any artwork, then please contact Susanna. Here's her email address, and she can then help you with that. So, and I've been away, and a client has come in with a really urgent job that needs doing, and it's all been dealt with, and I've come and I've checked my email and I've got it back, and it's all done. I can just see this conversation going between them, and it's all managed and it's all sorted. I come back and it's all finished. Hooray, fantastic, love that. There's a little bit of passive work for you. You don't have to start off having a full-time member of staff. You can start small and then grow it from there, but outsourcing is definitely another one that you could look at. You know, what service or product do you currently do, what would complement that, and how could you outsource that? So the next bit, she says gulp 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 of water, but automating is awesome. I love automation. It's something I've really embraced in the last 5 years, I guess. And it felt like it was a big scary thing. I didn't really know what automation was. What can you automate? There's so many things you can automate. It is crazy. But there are a few kind of key processes and sales and things like that that you can automate. Essentially, let me just check. I have covered. Yeah. So essentially, automated processes and sales are a really good thing. So coming back to the client funnel, the path your client is going to take, how can you automate as much of that as possible, especially the low end stuff? So, for example, mailing lists. There's still a lot of people out there who are who haven't got a mailing list, who are very much doing manual mail merges and bits and pieces like that. But it is something that is really, really simple to set up. It doesn't take that long. It's very low cost or free, and it's something that can automate really easily. So you could set it up in MailChimp or MadMimi or any of these sorts of mailing things, and you literally create a new list. It will give you a piece of code or a web link that you can share, and that's then an automated process. So someone signs up and then they are on your mailing list. That's one thing that's automated. Then the freebie comes as a natural progression from there. You create something that is free, whether that be a PDF, a Word document, a video, or it could be a Dropbox link, it could be anything that you do. It could be an actual posted thing that's free, but you can use that mailing list sign up to do that. So basically you say, if you sign up here, you're going to get this free thing. Now I know I'm teaching some of you to suck eggs, but there will be other people watching this who haven't got this in place yet. So if you download, if you fill in your email and your name here, I mean, we're exchanging value here, then I will give you something of value. I value your email address and I will give you something of value in exchange for that. They fill in their email and the automation process kicks in. So this is using MailChimp's, as an example, automated follow-up email. So they sign up, they get sent an email that says, is this your email address? Yes, confirm, which is called double opt-in, which is actually a legal requirement in Canada, but not over here yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if it does become a legal thing at some point in the next few years. Then from there, they tick, yes, that definitely is me. And then they get another email back, which you set up, which says, brilliant, thanks for that. To download your free gift, click this link. Or please see attached your freebie that you've got. What's quite nice about a Dropbox link or a Google Drive link or Amazon storage link or whatever it is that you decide to use is that you can then top it up or you can update it quite easily. If you send them a link, then you can literally just send them the link to the folder. So don't share the folder, just share a link to a folder rather than a product. And then anything that you put in that folder becomes accessible by this person that you've sent the link to. So therefore you can add stuff to it without needing to change the email, without needing to update any links, without needing to do anything else. So if you decide to add in another PDF at a later date, you just update the sign up page and say, this is an extra bonus that you're going to get as well. You just pop it in the folder and forget about it. Happy days, automated. Things like, I'll tell you another example. So birthdays, how cool is this? You may know that in the Ladies That Plan group, we're now doing birthday cakes and cards that are going out. So we're choosing one person at random. It's a random draw from each month, and they will get a cake and a card. Anyone who is the Lady That Plan gets the ability to be part of this, and Dee is managing it. Hi, Dee! And it's just a nice little gift that we're doing. So how can we automate as much of that as possible? How can we outsource? So instantly I'm thinking, this is something that I'm really bad at. I'm not very good at following through and doing things consistently over a long period of time. So I need help to do that. QD, who is the queen of doing that. She's been super organized with it all. So she's now in charge of doing that and keeping on top of the list of birthdays. So she's updated my Infusionsoft. I use Infusionsoft. There's lots of other CRM systems out there. Very, very much worth having a look at the different ones. Capsule CRM is quite a nice one to start with. It's free and you can just play with it and get to grips. But you can do tagging and you can do product sectioning and you can write notes about people and do this sort of stuff. So we've added birthdays in. So anyone that's given their birthday, it's been added into Infusionsoft, and we were talking the other day about that, and we've got plenty of birthdays, and I said, oh, have you actually added it in Infusionsoft? So we've already got the outsourcing bit covered. And she said, yeah, I've put it in Infusionsoft. And I said, oh, what would be nice is if we could start sending birthday emails out. So I looked and thought, well, how can we do that? It's going to be complicated, blah, blah, blah. And then I found that there's a nice little plugin that you can do which creates a campaign in Infusionsoft, which means that all we needed to do was tag the people that already had birthdays, and then that would trigger a sequence which will then fire out a birthday email, which I can then just tweak as and when I want to, and it will then fire it out to people who have birthdays when they're coming up, and that's like an ongoing thing. So that is something, it's a little secret tip there that we're doing that is automated, and it's really nice. So again, the same with scheduling, automating. It's looking at the processes that you already do manually and thinking, how can I take myself out of that equation? Preferably, how can I take everybody out of the equation so it's actually done like computer generated? Another one of those is when I do booking. So if you buy a product from me, say for example you sign up to come along to one of my ladies' lunches, then you would get an email, as long as I've set it all up properly, which hopefully I will have done. You will get an email to say thanks for coming, thanks for booking, and here's the details of when it's going to be, etc. I'll then create a bit more of a campaign, which will then send another email out, reminder 3 days before, saying just a little reminder, this is happening on this date. And then another email will be triggered on the morning to say, hooray, it's happening today, looking forward to seeing you later, just so you have it to hand. Here's the address, here's my telephone number if there's any problems, and look forward to seeing you later. So that's 3 emails that I have got triggered to send when someone books in to come to lunch. Now these are all emails I would like to send, and I can assure you that years ago, before I did any of this automation stuff, I'd be manually sending these emails out. So I would be opening up an email and I'd be writing it in my diary that I'd have to send it at that particular day, trying to remember and doing all the stuff. So to create a campaign in Infusionsoft so that it all happens automatically is such a relief to me, because again it takes away the pressure of having to remember that I've got to send an email at a specific time and who I've got to send it to, and keeping track of all of this stuff. So that is something that a person doesn't need to do, because the computer can do it, and it's just a matter of setting it up once, then you can duplicate it. So there's a little bit of setup work, but once you've got that done, you reap the rewards of having it done. And there is so many things you can do in a similar way. So that's a very brief kind of look at automation. But how can you automate something within your business? So if you look at everything that you do, all the tasks that you do for your business, there's kind of a few key questions. So do I need to do it? If I don't need to do it, can a computer do it? So therefore, can I automate it? Or can someone else do it? In which case, can I outsource it? And then even if you can't afford to do it just yet, and I kind of say that in inverted commas because a lot of the time there's a small investment in the tech and then a high reward in terms of the time that you get back. So even if you kind of are saying that you can't afford it yet, then still write it down, because then it's something you can work towards. Because often we'll say, I can't afford it, and then we don't do it. Whereas if we write it down, we work towards, how can I afford that, rather than I can't afford it. How can I afford that? What do I need to do to be able to afford that so I can make it happen? Then these are the times when these things then become to happen. It's when they all happen. So next, manage to be you. I got a C. Why on earth would you rather get a C than an A? Oh, I find my life is a lot easier the lower I where am I? Because it's hiding the lower I keep everyone's expectations. Sorry, it was hiding underneath my GoToWebinar control panel. Things about time off in the holidays is managing people's expectations, and it's something that people miss a lot of the time, and there's a few different ways that you can do this. So what have we got? Where's my managing expectations bit? So what do I mean by that? I mean making sure that your customers, your potential customers and your suppliers know what's going on, because that's one of the biggest things. We take the time off, we think we've told people, and then someone who we haven't spoken to for a while then comes in and they've emailed you and they're not heard back. And they're wondering what's going on, or they've phoned and left a message on the office line and nothing's coming back, or they've phoned your mobile and they're not getting anything back. So they'll be then wondering, are they still in business? Have they gone out of business? Is there a problem? Maybe they don't want my business anymore. There's all of these sorts of things that can be going around in their people's heads, and it's really, really easy to manage these expectations. And there's a few ways that I would say that you need to think about with these sorts of things. So one of them, autoresponder, which is dead. Whether you're going out, we all get autoresponders come through. A lot of you know how to do them anyway, but it's definitely worth doing, and it's worth considering. You could actually set up an autoresponder even as far as a week, maybe 2 weeks in advance, to say that you're going to be away on these dates, because sometimes you've got, I mean, I tend to tell some of my regular clients that I'm going to be away, and then they know, they put it in their diary, so that then we then get work done before I go, and they've got it scheduled in for when I come back. But there will be other clients who are more ad hoc, that come in here and there, and they don't expect me to, that, well, it's like they expect you to be there all the time. They never know when you're going to be away. So if they suddenly get an email saying I'm not there, thanks very much, then they're potentially going to go elsewhere. So this again comes back to what we're trying to create with our business during our time off. But email autoresponders, you could do it in advance so people know. You could add it into your email signature. P.S. I'm going to be away, in big bold red letterings, on these dates. So please, if you have something important that needs to be done, make sure that you get it to me before this time. You could send out an email. Oh, I forgot. Let me read this. Yeah, you could send out an email or a printed letter to your customers to say that you're going to be away, and if there is anything important that's needing to be done, that make sure they get it to you in advance, or schedule it in for when you get back. Or you could give them the details of the person you're outsourcing the stuff to. Let me see. Mel, £5 a month or something, but someone said in the group the other day that MailChimp now do the automated about like the freebie follow-up email thing for free. But it would just be worth checking that. But autoresponder you can set up in your email. So if you've got your emails with, say, 123reg, whatever you're hosting, whatever company you're hosting with, if you log into your hosting panel, there will be a way to set up your autoresponder from there. So you'll have a control panel of some sort where you can check on your emails and do all that sort of stuff with your domain name, and you can just set it up there. Quick Google is always a good one. How do I set up an email autoresponder in Outlook or on Gmail or wherever? Gmail offers an autoresponder as part of the settings. You can set it so it automatically responds with an autoresponder. In fact, I have an autoresponder for the shooting ground, so my other half runs, we live on the shooting ground in Norfolk, and he runs that, and I do marketing work for him on a Wednesday night. So actually on that email address there's an autoresponder that's on permanently which says I am only in the office on a Wednesday night, so if you don't hear from me, please just be aware that that's why, and if you need something urgently, then please contact the shop and give Steve's email address and telephone number so that people can get in touch. So I'm managing expectations of what people expect to get back, and it's the same with the holidays. So it's just letting people know what's going on. And also it's quite a nice way of touching base. You know, if you send a little email newsletter out to your clients, I get it at Christmas, you must get it at Christmas and Easter and bank holidays and stuff, where people say, just to let you know, this is the the days we're going to be open and closed. If you're expecting a delivery, and then you need to order it by this time, blah blah. So it's quite a nice way of touching base with your audience, because you can then say, P.S. did you know we've got a special offer on at the moment, or when we come back, this will be the special offer that's going to be going on. There's lots of different ways you can utilize something like that for more than one thing. What else? Can you do the whole thing about sharing what you're doing, and it becomes easier if you have an office and you've got staff, because there's somebody there all the time. But if you're at home and you work from home and people know you work from home, and you say I'm going to be away on holiday in Barbados for a month, then there is a risk there that you are opening it yourself up to the wider world with your diary, the fact that you're not going to be in your house. So these things are kind of talked about with the sense that you're going to be considering that sort of safety stuff before you do anything. But I guess less prominent on emails, because that's mostly customers that are going to be contacting you in that way. But if you start going then on website and social media, it's just worth bearing in mind. So do you need to put something on your website? If you are actually closing for a whole month rather than just a week or a few days ad hoc here and there, then I think it would definitely be worth mentioning on the website so that people understand what's happening. Again, it comes back to just managing expectations. Again, with social media, often it's difficult, isn't it? Sometimes if you're sharing a lot of business stuff on your personal profile like I do, then it's difficult to know if you go on holiday for a week or longer, do you start posting pictures of your holidays and saying I'm on holiday, blah, 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 or do you wait until you get back? Do you go completely off grid and do no messages, or do you kind of carry on as if it's normal? So do you let people know? I mean, for me, generally speaking, I would let you guys know. If it's just for a day, then I wouldn't. If it was for a few days, then I would probably let some people know. Maybe I'd post in the group, say I'm going to be away for a few days. If I was going to be away for a few days and have no internet whatsoever, then I would definitely notify on social media, and I would let my list know probably as well. But it is a personal preference, that one, and again it comes back to what you're actually going to be doing and what your audience would expect. If you've got quite a close relationship and you're posting all the time, then a little notification to just say I'm going to be on holiday. It might be nice if you're outsourcing some of the social media management for the time that you're on holiday to say I'm going to be away, but don't worry, these people are going to be holding the fort. Another nice thing is if you're running a group or something, you can say I'm going to be going on holiday, or I'm having some self-care time or whatever, So please step up to the plate and deliver some valuable content into the group. You're all experts at something. Please give value into the group. That's another nice way of trying to get people to interact and get involved, but also manage expectations so people understand why you're not getting back to them. In the age of instant communication, it's quite an important thing. Again, I should have contacted Wendy really beforehand, but as an example, so Pocket Receptionist is a call answering service. There are lots of them. This is just one that I know of because it's one of my friends stroke clients who actually runs it. So you pay them a monthly fee. It's not a huge amount of money, and they will take X number of phone calls for you, and they will answer the phone, they'll take a message, or they'll divert through to you, like from as little as that right through to taking bookings for you, dealing with customer inquiries, all of that sort of stuff. So it's a fantastic tool, especially for small business owners, who want to appear bigger or who are very, very busy doing the business stuff. So a great example is therapists or tradesmen. So you are very, very busy massaging your clients, treating all of your clients, doing all that stuff. You can't answer the phone because you're busy in treatments all day. So having someone who is on hand, who's not a member of staff because you're working maybe on your own, renting a room, who can say, yeah, this is this company and massages are us. And yep, that's absolutely fine. I can book you in an appointment. These are the slots we have available. And then they book them in. And so while you're busy doing your stuff, it's all being looked after in the background. And there's a lot of companies out there like this. In fact, LiveLink is run by Wendy, who's another friend of mine. And she is mainly focusing on kind of the health and wellness type people. So chiropractors, physios, and people like that who are running busy clinics. So these are things that are out there, but many of them will offer holiday cover. It's also helpful if you have a disaster in the family. So if there's a death or an emergency and you can then get this set up, it means you can walk away without having to think about anything at all. Remember when my dad passed away in 2014, I had Jen, who is my VA in the Philippines, who's lovely. You see her posting in the group. And I had Susanna helping with the artwork, and I had a call answering service on. So basically I had 4 days notice to go down and be by his bedside, and obviously my head was not in the space that was appropriate. I had an hour's notice from the time I got the call to leaving the house, and in that time I made sure I emailed, I set up autoresponders, I did all this stuff. I emailed my team and said, this is what's happening. No one else knows. So as far as the rest of the world is concerned, I'm just away for a few days, and I'm not sure when I'm going to be back. There's been a personal issue that's happened, but they were all fully aware of what the situation was. So everybody just came around, and we were all there, and I had the call team answering all the calls for me. Nothing came through to me at all, but they did have it that if it was an emergency or somebody that they could send it through, and I just basically let that all happen, and I would just check my emails once or twice a day and just keep an eye on what was happening. And it was a godsend. I basically had 2 weeks when I was like out of it completely, maybe 3, and it was a godsend having all of that in place. So regardless of whether you use this stuff for holidays or not, having an awareness of it, having some sort of plan for if something happens in your life like that, which you don't expect, and it's a real shock to the system, can be a lifeline. You most need it, and it just helps with stuff. So that's another element that I don't often talk about, but that's one of the big things that was a massive help for me. But I've also used it on holidays and for fielding calls. So another thing is what I would do is, because I've got my numbers, I can forward it through to them, and then if they answer the phone call, and they'll have some people that they can send through to me and some people they can't, what I'll normally do is have it come through to my mobile. If my mobile doesn't answer it, it then goes to the call answering service, and they know that I'm then not available, because it wouldn't be going through to them if I had answered the phone. So this is all just stuff to consider. What's the question from Al? They do. Pocket receptionists do give you local numbers. It is one of the things that they do. So you can, I've got my own number, but they do the numbers as well as part of it. So they do literally anything you can imagine. They have a call centre, so it's all quite professionally done. And they do all sorts, from small companies, one-man bands, right through to big corporations. Another glug of water. So they manage. They do all sorts of stuff. They've got a team of like 30 or more people in the control center who are dealing with all sorts of stuff, booking in just anything you can imagine. They do tons of stuff. But there's other, as I say, there's other companies out there, but that's one that I know of that does a good job. And I can't stress enough how helpful these things are if you're on holiday, because it means you can just go away and chill out and know that they're there answering your phone, being professional, and saying they're away or they're unavailable at the moment, or whatever you need to say, and they can book in appointments for you if you're using an online booking system. So actually I haven't even covered that, but online booking is fantastic. I'm always banging on about that, and that's another way of automating. So I use it for myself. So if you want to book an appointment with me, then normally you'll be sent an email, a web link, some of you have already had that, where you'll book in a time slot. And it is just so much easier. The reason I set it up was because I was constantly having conversations for a period of time, about 6 months. They would have these email conversations. It would be great to have a chat. Brilliant. When's good for you? Okay, send me some dates. How about this date, this date, this date, this date, this date, this time. Oh, well, I can't do any of those, but can you do this, this, this? Oh, no, I can't do those. And to back in it, and it was a nightmare, do your head in completely. So I was like, right, I've had enough of all of this. I'm wasting so much time looking at my calendar and trying to tell people dates and times. I'm just going to set up a booking system. You can book.me is the one I use, but there's also Acuity and some other ones. And it's dead easy. And there's a free version of it to just get you started, just to see if it's something that's appropriate. So I don't use it for booking appointments and for payments up front for stuff, although I could, but it does text reminders and all sorts of things. And it automatically adds it into my calendar. It's linked to my calendar, so I don't need to check that I'm available. It's all there. So again, that has been a fantastic thing to do, because it's just freed up a huge chunk of time, which seems really kind of simple and mundane, but it's massive, and loads of people don't use it. I think it's marvellous. D is managing the birthday surprises and potentially some other exciting things we're going to plan in the future. Because I'm rubbish at doing the long-term stuff. Again, I've talked about Susanna. I've basically covered this one really, but I've talked about how I use Susanna for my artwork. I've used other people as well. Jen also helps me with social media stuff. These are people that I have in my little support team that are there on hand when I need them, for me to say, can you do this? It's when I don't have the time, I don't have the usually it's because I don't have the time, because mostly I can do a lot of this stuff, but I either don't have the inclination or I don't have the time, or it's just not what I'm really good at, and there's no point in me doing that if I can give it to somebody else who will do it better, and then I can focus on doing the stuff that's actually going to generate an income, or do whatever or it's going to help, or it's going to do something that's going to be much better. So and it's another one of those things that people say they can't afford, but if you then start looking at the amount that you could get back if you worked doing something else in that time. So if we were looking at data entry or social media scheduling, this is something that all of us have to do, and you can outsource really, really easily. And how much time? So how much is one of your hours worth, and how much is it worth paying someone else? Even if you're paying, whether you're paying £5, £10, £20, £30, £40 an hour, whatever it is that it needs to be, what is the benefit going to be back? So it's not always I can't afford it. Again, it comes back to how could I afford it. If you can work out how you can afford it, then you can build up to that. You can create a plan that's going to get you there, rather than just looking at it as some pie in the sky thing that you can't do. Outsourcing and delegating is fantastic, and it's especially good when you're on holidays, because you know that you can just pass it over and someone else is going to look after it for you. It means your customers are still feeling valued, they're still getting value for money from you, they're still being looked after, but it's not necessarily you having to do everything, which can become overwhelming 100%. So, catching up on my questions. Right, got a lot still, so I'm going to potentially speak even faster. Are you ready? So scheduling in advance. Oh, I don't know why this bottom one has come up before the others, which is bonkers, but all of these can be scheduled in advance, which again frees up your time. So if we're talking about creating time off or passive income, all of these can be scheduled. But again, think about what the end result is going to be. Is it that you want to create time away from the office, in which case what do you need to do for these to be able to do that? Or is it that you want to create a passive income, in which case how can you use these to drive people towards buying your product while you're away? So social media, blog posts, email newsletters, autoresponders, and call answering in advance. We'll start with call answering because I'm ornery. So call answering, if you know you're going on holiday in 6 months' time, you can call up the call answering service company or email them and say, look, I'm going on holiday on this date. Can we organise it so that we've got cover for then? How much is it going to cost? Blah, blah, blah. These are the start date, this is the end date, this is what I want you to do. That can all be organised in advance. It could potentially be organised 2 days in advance, but what's the point? You might as well organise it well in advance, then it's done, another ticked off the list. Autoresponder. Again, this advance doesn't have to be done the day before or on the day you leave. It can be done weeks and weeks in advance so that you're ready to go. It's one of those things on your list. Set the start date and end date and time and leave it, and then you know that it's going to kick in and it's going to finish. So it's not, sometimes, you know, when you do that thing, you forget to turn off your autoresponder, and then people are saying, oh, by the way, your autoresponder is still coming on and it's been a week since you got back from holiday. That again doesn't look that great, but with autoresponders, with most of them, you can set a start and end date and time, in which case you just set it in advance and then you forget about it. When you come back, it automatically is going to stop. Brilliant, happy days. My favourite sort of automation. Email newsletters, a lot of these can be scheduled in advance now. So you could, if you knew, for example, you were going to have, whatever you were going to do, if you were going to have 4 weeks off and you were going to do an emails newsletter once a week, you could pre-write that newsletter, you can input all the data in, and you can schedule that to go out on the dates that you would ordinarily send them at the times. Regardless of whether you were going on holiday or not, you could still do it this way if you wanted. So if you're a bit pants like me at doing this sort of stuff as an ongoing thing, then you could either delegate that to somebody else who is going to actually kick your butt and make you do it, or you could sit down once a month, once every 6 months, whatever you want to do, and then you could put all these newsletters together and schedule them for a period of time. Happy days, forget about it. Just remember to make a note of when it finishes so that you can go back and keep it going for the next stage. Blog posts, again, whether you use blog or WordPress or whatever, and the majority of them are certainly WordPress, you can schedule these as well. So you could write, say for example, you were using your blog post as your email newsletter, a bit of repurposing we love, then you could write your blog post, you can put it onto your website and schedule it to go out, say every Monday. You could then put it into your email newsletter and schedule them to go out every Monday or Wednesday or Friday or whenever. And they're all done in advance, so you can then go on holiday. Again, with social media is exactly the same thing, safe in the knowledge that it's all still coming out at the same time. You're still being consistent, you're still delivering value to your audience, but you are out in the sun, sipping a cocktail, hiking in the mountains, doing whatever it is that you want to be doing, omming in a yurt somewhere. Social media, Hootsuite, Buffer, Post Planner, Edgar, whatever you want to do. If you don't want to use any of those platforms, you just want to keep it cheap and simple, you can still schedule it in Facebook for your pages. Groups, I still think you can't schedule it in groups. You may be able to, but certainly on your page you can. And you might say in your groups, I'm going to be away, so check the page for regular posts. It can all be done in advance. So actually, with all of this stuff done, what else is there to do? There's obviously delivering the work. So if you've got a retail premises, or if you've got a service that you're delivering or a product that you've got to send, you've got to make sure that stuff's covered. But this is a big chunk of your time, and if that's all done for a whole month, as an example, think of how much time that is, and all of those things you don't have to be doing that's already ticked off in your head before that time has even started. So then you can just kick back and relax and enjoy all of that, all the time that you've freed up, because you've freed up the time, you've automated. That's exactly what we like. Jackie, what program do you use to schedule your emails? No, not Edgar. Emails, you can do it in MailChimp. If you're using MailChimp for your thing, so I can do it in Infusionsoft. You can do it in MailChimp. I don't use anything else, so I couldn't tell you, but I'm pretty confident that most of them will allow you to schedule in advance with a date to send it out. But MailChimp definitely does, Infusionsoft definitely does, and I'm pretty sure most of the other ones do too. So if you've got an email, I mean, you can even use stuff like Boomerang, I think Boomerang or something like that, that you can set emails to go out at different times, just as part of a plugin for your Gmail. I mean, there's literally just so many different apps and things you can use to get this stuff scheduled. Scheduling's brilliant. I think it gets a bad rap because people say that it's spamming, but in my mind, it's always about saying, what would I be doing anyway, and how can I automate that? How can I schedule it so that I'm not having to do it? I'm not forced into doing it at the time it needs to be done. I can do it at a time that suits me, and that's what we need to do when we're busy juggling families and lives and trying to breathe and run a business and make some money and do everything else that we're trying to do at the same time. Right. One thing I didn't say about outsourcing is you may kiss a few frogs along the way. 100%. I definitely have. Everyone I know who ever has outsourced anything has definitely kissed some frogs along the way. You don't have to start off with a high-end thing. You can start off outsourcing on Fiverr. $5, you could get something done for you. That is a beginning of an outsource. So it's literally anything. And what I would say is, I've never worked in corporate. I've never had lots of staff underneath me. So for me, outsourcing was a massive learning curve of being able to communicate what I wanted to be done and have something come back that was what I expected. So I think a big part of outsourcing, especially if you've never done it before, is learning how to communicate what you want to be done. And to start with, it can feel frustrating because it's new to you and you're having to learn the skill to do it, and it can sometimes feel, and sometimes it does take longer to get someone else to do it, but it's worth persevering, because once you've got it sussed, it's just mega, because it can all be managed for you. And sometimes you think, oh, I've got to sit there for an hour and tell them how to do this. How annoying, I could be doing this other thing, or I could do it myself. But it's definitely oh, what's it called, when you've got to speculate to accumulate. It's definitely that. You invest that time and you get it back tenfold afterwards. So what have we not yet covered? Let's go back here. Thing. So we've got to plan our time. So you think that the holidays as being, do you know, I probably shouldn't mention this, but whilst I was planning out this, I managed to create some sort of 88-page ultimate summer planner, which is in scribbled down design, and I mustn't do because I've got too much other stuff to do, but it would be really cool to have. But essentially you've got 6 to 8 weeks, maybe 9 weeks, depending on where your kids go to school. If they're not at school, if you haven't got kids, then there's potentially still 4 to 8 weeks where other people will have their kids, and you may not be able to contact your customers as easily. It might be that you are the busiest during the summer that anybody could ever possibly be. Whatever it is, planning your time is going to be a massively good thing to do. So in the Facebook groups, I talked today about time blocking out sections of time. Mel's put, ooh, an 88-page planner. I know, it's really cool. It covers, it's an ultimate summer planner. It's planning to the nth degree, which covers all of this stuff. So yeah, you've got to plan this stuff. You've got to plan in family time. You've got to plan in work time. You've got to plan in me time, and you've got to plan in spare time and sleep time and exercise time. You know, all these sorts of different things. They all deserve time in your planner. And someone mentioned it in the group. I know Chelsea did a meme for it the other day, which was something that JP and Julia said when we were at the Springboard to Success event, which was, if you don't look after, if you don't put yourself first, then you put yourself last, which is essentially is true. But we all know that we need to look after ourselves, because if we are running on low, then we're going to be delivering poor service to our customers. We're going to be moody. We're going to feel like packing it all in and running away with the circus, and nothing is going to be that great. So we're going to get overwhelmed. So if we plan out our time, also what's quite interesting is you can have a massive to-do list, and then if you actually start putting it into time blocks, you realize how little time you have and how much you need to use it effectively. And then it makes you look at your to-do list more specifically, and think what the whole kind of what's important, what's not important. So what's important and urgent, what's important but not urgent, what's urgent but not important, and what is not important and not urgent. So what do I need to ditch? What do I need to do? What is really, really essential? And I think one of the biggest things for this is ensuring that everything is covered as you want it to be. Because unless we plan that time around what we want, we're never going to make it happen. And I don't know about you, but certainly my most productive days are the ones when I have a short amount of time and I have to get something done. So I will sit there and I will whip through it, and I think, wow, I've had one of the most productive days like in the whole world. And it's because I've limited my time, and then I can go off and do the other things. But one of the great things about that, when you do restrict yourself, when you do impose a limit in a box, you put yourself in a box, is that it empowers you when you are stepping out of it, because you can say, well, do you know what? I deserve this because I worked really hard and I was really productive and I got these most important things done, which again comes back to figuring out what you want. Because if you know what you want and what you're trying to create and what you need to make happen, you know what your goal is, and especially remembering it's just this kind of 4 to 8 weeks. What is essential? What do I have to do? Because there are a lot of things on your to-do list that can be done but don't need to be done right now, can be put off, might not need to be done. If you really look at it, I mean, a lot of the time I look at my to-do list and I think, oh, these are all really important things. But actually, if I didn't do it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, what would happen? Would my whole business cease to exist? Would the world crumble and fall down around me, or would everything actually still be okay? And if that is the case, then during this time, while you want to be having a break, then wipe them off your list. Just put them in the I'll do them when I come back, because then, or I'll delegate them, or actually they don't need to be done, they're not important, I'll just delete them. Because there's no point in having these stragglers on your to-do list, because all they'll do is stress you out. So it comes back to the old, in fact, what did I do in my time management? It was cupcakes and sprinkles and chocolates and wine. So eat the cupcakes first, because they're the big ones. It's like eat that frog. You focus on the big stuff, get that done, the stuff that's really going to make a difference, and then relax and enjoy the fact that you've got that done, and you can then deserve some well-earned time off. And by doing that, you'll use your time way more effectively. Mel's trying to pressure me. She's trying to force me into doing a teacher's planner. I honestly have been thinking about it, but I just don't know enough about there's so much. I did a survey and I had so much come back and it blew my brains out. So I was like, oh, could I do a planner? I think it would need to be such an in-depth thing. I don't know. It's in my potential list. So planning your time is really, really important. Needs to be planned in, whether that is family as in children, or your own personal family around your parents or your siblings or friends, or your chosen family. If you are on your own and you haven't got relatives or then your friends I would class as your family, because it's really, really important. And whether you've got loads of family or not, I would also class friends in the family section, because they are a big part of your life. You choose them to be your friends. They're really important, and they're a really important part of creating a happy life. I think in fact, the more and more I think about it, I've been reading a book at the moment called Isn't This Fun? which is great on Audible. And he's talking about fun. And in the chapter that's on at the moment, he's just been talking about how we're striving for authenticity in everything that we do. Everything is all about authentic. We go on and we do weekends where you can live in a tribal way, and you make spoons and you do all this stuff and you go high, and it's about trying to get back to nature. And it's because we miss that tribal element. We're not connecting with people enough. That's why I have lunches. That's why I created the event in London. It's why I'm trying to get everybody together, because I genuinely believe that that physical connection is really, really important. And I think it's so easy to not do stuff. It's so easy to not go to events, to not meet people, and to not push yourself out. But actually, it's in those connections that are what fulfills us. And when we look back across our lives, it's those connections that we make that fulfill us. And I think that's why family time, me time, massively important. The family time is big. Work is obviously big. We need to figure out what that is. But that could be, for your 4 to 8 weeks, it could be an hour a day. It doesn't have to be a 10-hour day and 90-hour week. Could be, it's whatever you want it to be. And working that out is going to be key to creating what you want in that. And me time is hugely important as well. Tomorrow I've got a mindfulness day, which is going to be lovely. And am I stressing about having the day away? Yes. Am I having a bit of a panic about what needs to be done? Yes. But I know that for the whole time I'm there during that day, it's going to give me the chance to just recharge. And you just need to do it. I really find myself feeling like my batteries are getting low if I don't do it. And it's been a while, because we moved in here 2 years ago. It's been really busy. There's lots of stuff happening. It's been really easy to let the me side go. It's really easy to just go, oh, I won't do that because I'm going to do some work instead or whatever. So these 3 should have equal importance. And if anything, the family and me should be higher in importance. But obviously the work creates the money, which it creates the ability to have more fun in the other areas. Let me have a look over here. Oops, Mel, I've deleted. I deleted the one saying I know what you mean. I'm sorry, I meant to click it to read it and I deleted it by mistake. So you on the planet Krypton, or I'm not Wonder Woman. It would be, wouldn't it be nice? She looks amazing. And she's super strong and powerful, and she's got magical hand things. I'm looking forward to going and seeing that in the cinema. But we're not we are not superheroes. We cannot do everything, which is why we need to stop beating ourselves up about the fact that we can't do everything, and looking at other people and thinking, well, they do everything, because we don't know what other people do. We've got to remember that on Facebook, I'm as bad as anybody else. I try and put the best stuff on there. I particularly make an effort to put positive stuff on there, because I don't like all the kind of EastEnders drama that's on there, and I try and step away from the drama, because I like the positivity. I enjoy that, and since I did my NLP, I try and attract positivity, I try and spread positivity. Yes, I have negative moments, but I try not to share that too publicly on there. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Sometimes it's very powerful, and certainly the times when I've felt most scared in posting in the group, and I've shared something that's personal and potentially something about me not feeling 100%, have been the times when people have resonated the most, and it's had a really positive impact. So being honest and open about what the reality is actually can be massively, massively powerful. But remembering that we're not a superhero is definitely a big top thing. I think I've had a few times people have said, oh, I find you a bit intimidating. And I think, why would you find me intimidating? I'm so bad at so much stuff. And I don't do half of the things that I want to do. And I'm constantly beating myself up. But it turns out everybody else is doing exactly the same thing. So we're all in that camp. And compare-itis, hormones, the moon, whatever. We've all got these movements, and I'm totally with you. Doing something with the kids, doing the housework, or doing some work or something else. there's all of these different ways that we can feel guilty. Hooray! And we're really good at it. We're really good at making ourselves feel guilty. It's like, oh no, I forgot to feel guilty. Oh my God, what am I going to do? You know, we're not superhuman people, but what's worth remembering is that guilt is a choice. We can choose to feel guilty, or we can choose to feel guilty, and that may feel a bit weird. And I'm going to read you a very in the dark, a few steps before you can react. In the event you perceive the saw it to be what it really was, your engagement with your reality involves much emotion and semantic memory, but these shifted radically towards the positive when the illusion departed. The rope did not cause the illusion to suffer change by appearing and then not appearing to be a snake. The rope did not change. It did not even appear to change, but the appearance it presented did change. The appearance of the snake really happened, but the reality of the snake only appeared. Now, this is a little paragraph from the book, The Bedside Book of Philosophy, which I bought, and I was flicking through and thinking, I was trying to think of a way of describing the fact that guilt is a choice, and it's something. It's like a perception. It's what we see. We're kind of creating this perception, and it made me think that this is so true. And it may seem a bit of a random link, but I think it's actually very, very pertinent. So essentially, guilt is emphasized or not based on your choices. So you can have the same person in the same situation, and one person will feel guilty, and they will allow that guilt to affect them in a negative way. And someone else would be in exactly the same situation, and they would choose not to let that guilt drag them down. They would choose to look on the positive and choose not to be guilty, not to feel guilty. Anita said, well, I can say today you and the others in the group have really helped me move forward with the support and the advice given. Good. Thank you for sharing that. It is, when you share this stuff, when you're honest and you're open, it's really, really powerful. Being honest, and it comes back to authenticity, and we were just saying craving authenticity. It's a powerful thing. We want people to be real, and yet we don't necessarily share the real us, but when we do step up and we're brave and we share the real us, we get rewarded for that. And I think we just need to remember that a little bit more. People want truth, they want reality, they don't want, it doesn't need to be gold tinted, it can be can be rusty, and that's fine, but we like it because it gives a patina to our life. But going back, so guilt is the reality that you create. So with the snake, you're walking along, you see the rope, and it's actually rope, but initially your first instinct is fear that it's a snake, and the fact that the rope has not changed at all, it's not even moved, it is just your perception of it that has changed, and it stops being scary. It becomes, oh, it's just a piece of rope. Guilt is exactly the same thing. If you perceive, if the instinct is, I mean, Jamie Smart talks about feeling your thinking. So you do an action, so that could be that you step into the office to work and the guilt kicks in and instantly you feel bad. So you are feeling your thinking. The initial thought is guilt, and then you are reacting to that. It's the same as seeing the rope and instantly thinking snake, and then realizing it's not. So you have the option of realizing that you're feeling guilty and then choosing to do something about that. So what can you do about that? You can, is making you feel that guilt at that point. And it's really a really interesting thing to do, a really interesting exercise to do. So when that happens, is it that you're in a particular, are you wearing something particular? Is there a certain smell? Is there a certain feeling? Is there an action that you've done that has triggered that to happen? Does it always happen at the same time? Is it something to do with someone else, so like the children or your other half or whatever? What is it that is actually creating that moment of feeling of guilt, and what does the guilt feeling feel like? And I'm only really tapping a very nutshell into this, way I've gone way over, apologies for that. So what does that guilt really look like, and what is the trigger? Because if you can become aware of what that trigger is, then you can do something about it. When you notice the trigger, you notice that sensation of guilt, become conscious of it and realize that it's happening. It's a bit like getting PMT and realizing that you're grumpy and saying to your other half, I'm so sorry, I've got PMT, I'm just going to be grumpy today and then tomorrow I'll be fine. It's the same thing with guilt, and the more you do it, the more you can become conscious of it, the more you can stop it from happening. So these are actual actionable steps. I mean, you can do things like EFT and Reiki and mindfulness and all that sort of stuff as well, but from a very basic sense, you become conscious of the guilt and you say, right, I'm feeling guilty, so I now have a choice to make. Do I continue to feel guilty, or am I going to actually stop this? So am I going to wallow in this sensation, and am I going to allow it to control me, or I'm going to actually do something about this? So if you become conscious of it, what could you then do? So ask yourself, what could you do to make you feel better? What could you do to distract yourself from it? So I'm feeling guilty, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this thing, and you can create almost a ritual or a habit out of doing it, so that it stops you from then feeling guilty, because you're making a conscious choice to do something separate. And what will happen is it will become a habit. So what you'll do is you will notice the guilt kick in. You'll think, right, what's triggered that? Okay, so that's triggered it. You could even get to the point where you change your actions so you no longer trigger the guilt. But do become very conscious of it, and you need to remember that you can choose to feel that, or you can choose to let it go. What would be a nice thing to do is to say, I acknowledge the fact that the guilt, this triggered this guilt sensation, and I thank you for that, to the universe or God or whatever you want to call it to, and just say, but you know what, I just don't want to be feeling that at the moment, so I'm going to say thank you very much and goodbye, and then just kind of imagine either blowing it into the distance or throwing it into the other room, whatever feels good for you, and you can laugh about it. I mean, laughing would be fantastic. Imagine if you felt guilt kick in, and do you know what you did is you kind of, say you had a guilt and it's in the pit of your stomach, and you think, do you know what, I'm going to imagine taking that guilt out with my hand, and I'm going to throw it in the air with an imaginary ball, and I'm going to whack it with an imaginary tennis bat, and it's going to fly across the room into the sky and kind of explode into a rainbow. What a great visualization of getting rid of the guilt. And instantly by doing that, it's going to make you laugh, because you're going to feel a bit daft throwing up an imaginary ball of guilt and hitting it with a tennis bat. But it's also going to make you smile, because you suddenly got this rainbow visualization, the guilt's gone. So whatever you do, it's done the trick of getting rid of it. But that's just a few things that you can think about when it comes to guilt. But the biggest thing is remembering that you do have a choice, and by choosing to feel guilty, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're also doing your potentially your work or your children a disservice as well, because you'll be feeling guilty. So there's no point in doing that. You want to be feeling good, and you want to be making sure that you're making that choice. Not complaining, you've gone over. You got out bedtime duty with the kids. At least something good came of it. So that's my kind of tips on guilt. There's loads more, but those are kind of the main ones. The three kind of things I want you to know what you're aiming towards, because until you know what you're trying to create, you're never going to get all of these things done, and you're going to potentially be spending time, wasting time creating things, setting up automations or whatever that are not going to lead you to what your goal is. Automate and delegate as much as you can, because by doing that you free up your time, you free up your mental capacity to be able to cope with a lot more stuff. You're not going to feel as overwhelmed. You're going to be able to create time, which is one of the things that you're going to be wanting. And also plan your time and work your plan. And there is a difference between planning your time and working your plan, but do the both together, because by planning what you're going to do, and you've just got to be strict with yourself. If you can see it on your plan, and I think that's the big thing, you can see that if you spend, for example, if I spend 3 hours in the office today, then that means I can spend the rest of the time with the children and not feel guilty, because I'll have got my most important tasks done. So when do I want to spend those 3 hours? Do I want to get up at 5? So then by 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm done and I can enjoy the whole day. Do I want to be doing that in the evening? Will it work better at lunchtime when the children are asleep or with friends or whatever? If you plan it out, then you can relax, because you can say, right, look, this is fine. And I can completely 100% justify that I am working my plan and the plan works. And as long as I stick to this and I get my things done, then guilt can get stuffed. My customers are going to be happy, my family's going to be happy, I'm going to be happy. It's all good. And I know it's potentially easier said than done, but with a little bit of determination and grit and remembering that it's only for a short period of time, it is all good. Then you can enjoy all the rewards of your planning and your organising. It's a good thing, 100%. With all of these things, there's just a few things there to get you ready for the summer holidays. So at this point of the webinar, you will be in one of three camps. You're either going to be thinking, awesome. Well, you might be thinking, well, that was pants. I wish I hadn't wasted an hour of my life. Or you're going to be thinking, brilliant, I've got all of those jotted down, I know exactly what I need to do. I'm going to go off and do it myself, and it's totally cool, hunky-dory, brilliant. That's awesome. You know where I am, you know where the group is, get involved, share what you're doing. It inspires other people when you share, so it's all really brilliant. If that's helped, then I'm thrilled. Some of you will be thinking, brilliant, some of that seems a bit overwhelming. Some of that seems a little bit out of my depth. I'm not really sure 100% what I'm doing, but I think I could probably manage most of it with a little bit of group support. That's what the Facebook group is for. Post your questions in there, post your discoveries in there, share, help other people. That's what we're there for. I was talking about connection, visibly important. I genuinely believe that that is the case. The Facebook group is there. I feel, and I hope you do too, that it's a safe space to share what is going on, really help, and to do this sort of stuff. So I urge you to go in there and do that and seek support. There will be people in there that can help on these things. There are people who are experts in CRM and outsourcing and MailChimp and all these different things. So ask the question and you shall get rewarded. And there will be some of you who will be thinking, holy moly, this is a lot to do, and I haven't got that long to do it, and I'm not quite sure what to do, and I'm not quite sure exactly what I need to be doing when, and all of this sort of stuff. And for it's the link, and that's the link, bit.ly/LTP community is a bit.ly link straight through to it. So go and use the group. That's what it's there for. It's free. It's a fantastic resource for you in there. This right now, 7 weeks until the holidays, that at all, which is why, because I've got a big, hairy, scary goal for me this year is to sell an awful lot of diary planners. So basically I finished doing my Springboard to Success event, and I thought, right, what I want to do is nothing. I'd quite like to do nothing, and I don't want to be rushing into another big goal. I'm tired, la 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 la. And then I thought, I want to do the pre-orders order for my diary planners in August. And then I looked and I thought, holy cow, that's like 2 months away, and we've got the summer holidays to contend with. So I thought, blimey, I haven't got time to just wait. So I looked at the blast and I thought that which we did in April, and the reason it works well for me is because it's 4 weeks of consistent action, and I need to do it again. So I'm thinking, right, okay, so when do I do it? So essentially the school holidays start in the middle of July for some of these private schools, and I thought, right, well, it needs to be done by then, so it finishes on the 19th or something of 16th of July. So that then starts on the 19th of June, and you think, well, crikey, that's only like 3 weeks away. But this is the thing, this is the whole point, isn't it? If we don't take action right now, if we don't just do it, then it never gets done, and then we're kicking ourselves because suddenly the summer's here and we are in exactly the same position as we were in last year. We haven't got stuff organised, so you just got to get it done. So I thought, right, well, I'm going to do the blast again, and if I'm going to do it, I might as well get other people to do it with me, which is the whole point of doing the blast in the first place last time. So it's 4 weeks of action. We've got a workbook which has got every single day mapped out with the times and the to-do lists. Every week is mapped out. The whole 4 weeks is mapped out with daily actions. It's not about doing everything. It's about creating what you want to happen. Mel, the blast is fab. Thank you very much. We've actually got, I think, 4 or 5 of the April blasters are actually joining us again for this June blast. And I've already got names from the blasters from April doing the blast again in November. That's going to be it. It's literally going to be this, and then in November, and that's the only ones that's going to be happening this year. And we are doing 4 weeks of action. We're really, really proactive. It's mainly run in the Facebook group, and what we do is you get posted out, or if you're in Norfolk and you want to come to the planning day on the 14th of June, you can come along to that. You'll get your workbook there. Otherwise, you'll get posted your printed workbook. It's 40 pages long, and it literally takes you through step by step the planning process from initial ideas and dreams of what you want to achieve right through to the nitty-gritty of what am I going to do every single day for this 4 weeks. It's a bit of a roller coaster when you do this sort of thing, because you have highs and lows. You feel fantastically brilliant and you're selling stuff, and then you have a quiet day and you feel like you want to give everything up, and then it's a good day and a bad day and a good day and a bad day, but we're all in there together, and we're all it's really nice. It's like I'm having a bad day, it's not quite going to plan. People will get in there and give you the support that you need to keep going. It's so nice to know that you're not doing it on your own. It's also really nice to know that it's 4 weeks, and by the end of that 4 weeks you can then take a big deep breath and sigh of relief and get it sorted. Excuse me, bit of a coughing fit. So one of the reasons I'll get there in a sec. I'm here, I'm still alive. One of the reasons for doing the blast now is to prepare for the summer, which is why I did this webinar. It's what prompted it in the first place. Yeah, I know, Mel, I'll see you in there because you're in the blast. So you know what I'm talking about. You've done it once and you're now doing it again. It's all good. Thank you for coming. So that's part of the reason for doing this, is to make people realise, to help people to share some of the stuff that you can do to prepare for the summer. For me, the blast will be a combination of getting stuff done and actually selling some product, but also preparing for the summer and the fact that I would like some time off. In fact, the blast ends at the point where I will be having a bit of a 3-day break, so I need to make sure that I'm prepped and ready for that. So that's what it's all about. It's not about fleecing people for money. I've done it at a really affordable rate to cover the cost of everything. It's a massive amount of investment of time that I put in. I'm in the group every day, most of the day, checking in, answering questions, supporting, doing videos. We have 2 meetups if people can make it, which is on GoToMeeting, where we actually go online and we chat and we talk about everything that's happening. Does anyone need any help? It's really hands-on. It's not like an online course where you go on and you get modules and you have to work through it on your own. It's actually all about creating an action plan, which I will guide you through step by step. I'll be helping you figure out what your goal is, helping you find that focus of one thing that you want to work towards, and helping you achieve it. One of the nice things, I think, is Karen in here? No. Yes, you are. Is Karen brilliantly was working towards her goal, and then that it enabled her she was 50% towards target of this extra income to come in, which is mega, and it enabled her then to put a deposit down to book a holiday for the kids to Lapland, which was mega. It was so nice. I was so happy to see that post, because it's for whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be, it could be earning £1,000. I mean, all of us would like to earn £1,000 in a month, which would be great. It's a fantastic thing to work towards. And funnily enough, a lot of people on the last blast started off with a financial target, and it was tweaked once we really got to grips with it and became something else. But finances is really easy to monitor and measure, because you can create a plan, you can review it as you're going, and you can check. So at 2 weeks in, we review, we look at what we've done, how have we actioned, Are we implementing our plan? Is it working? Does it need to be tweaked? Because until we review and we do all of that sort of stuff, we don't know whether it's working. So that's one of the biggest things about planning and reviewing and working as a team. So there we go. Essentially, it's not a big upsell. I know I've spoken about it for a while, but I really believe that it's a fantastic thing. There's only 15 spots left. It's mega, mega, mega. If you want to get some stuff done for your business, you've got a particular thing you want to get ready. It could just be that you want to be ready for summer. So you want to create a passive income product. You want to set up all the back end and automation towards it, and you want to launch it. And that could be what you do in those 4 weeks. It doesn't have to be that you're working towards a monetary goal. It could be that you're working towards having everything set up so that when the end of the blast happens, you are ready to go. Those summer holidays start and you can kick back and relax and know that everything is in place. And that is priceless, getting that sorted. So there's a lot more to it than just that. In fact, some of the people doing it this time are doing quite personal goals. Some working towards speaking at events, other people building their list, other people will be money, other people will be selling a certain number of products. So it's a real mix to be whatever it is that you want it to be. But that's as big as the sell that I'm going to do. It's 4 weeks. It starts on the 19th of June, and that is it. Once we start, that's it. The doors are closed. That won't be happening again until November. You get the 40-page printed action book. You get all the support in the Facebook group. You get all of the support in figuring out what your goal is and working towards it. And it's up to 8-week installments of $23.50. So it really is the best value that I can possibly even provide ever. So it's just at bizblast.co.uk. So there you go. That's it. That's me. Has anybody got any more questions before we call it a night and you can go off and regroup and have some family time? Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I hope it's been helpful. Is there anything that particularly jumped out for you as being your kind of takeaway from today that you're going to implement and make happen? I'd love to know. Whether you write it now or you pop it in the Facebook group afterwards would be great. What I have got is I've recorded this so that if you want to watch it back again, then I'll be sharing it, all being well with the recording. I don't like to promise these things because sometimes technology is not our friend as much as we would like it to be. So there we go. There's still 8 of you there listening. So if you've got any questions, pop it in the box and I will do my best to answer it now for you before go. Oh, Jackie. Oh my goodness. It's like, are you doing another kind of 3 in the morning thing? You are incredible. Jackie's thanks, Sophie. Awesome stuff. Good night. Back to bed. She's in Australia. She's listening. It's like some ridiculous time in the morning, 3 in the morning or something. You are an amazing woman. Thank you very much. You're crazy, but you're amazing. Well, I hope that you all got something from it that was positive, and I will look forward to catching up with you in the Facebook group. Plenty of food for thought, packed with positivity. That's what we like. We like a bit of positivity. So if you've enjoyed it, then keep an eye out in the group. I will be sharing the link to be able to watch the video again, and once I get it up, it'll probably be up tomorrow. No, because I'm at a mindfulness event tomorrow. And then it'll be up on Thursday. I will have it up online somewhere on Thursday so you can then watch it back and catch up on anything that you missed or anything that you wanted to watch again. Thank you very, very much for coming, and I will, as I say, catch up with you in the group. Have a fantastic rest of the evening and a wonderful week ahead, and I will speak to you all very, very soon.